Have you ever noticed that the more you try to sound smart, the more you seem to trip over your own words? It is a strange paradox that haunted me for years. I used to think that being articulate meant having a massive vocabulary and a fast delivery. I thought that if I could just speak quicker and use more complex sentences, people would finally see me as an authority. But the reality was the exact opposite. The harder I tried to impress, the more I sounded like I was struggling to keep my head above water. My voice would get thin and my throat would tighten up, and I would leave every conversation feeling like I had failed to truly say what I meant. This one thing changed everything for me. I realized that clear speaking has almost nothing to do with your voice, and everything to do with how you treat the silence between your words. Welcome to True Grit English Stories. I am so glad you decided to spend some time with me today. Grab a warm drink and find a comfortable place to sit. We are going to explore something that I wish I had known years ago. We are going to talk about the 9 habits that transformed the way I communicate with the world. This is not about being a perfect public speaker or a polished performer. This is about finding your true voice and having the confidence to let it be heard. We are going to dive deep into the psychology of speech and the physical reality of how we communicate. This journey is about unlearning just as much as it is about learning. When I look back at my old self, I see someone who was constantly at war with their own thoughts. I was so afraid of being misunderstood or judged that I would rush through my sentences as if I were running out of time. Have you ever felt that way? Like there is a clock ticking in the background and you have to finish your thought before the listener loses interest. It is a heavy burden to carry. But here is the hard truth that we need to start with. You are probably working way too hard. We think that communication is an active, aggressive act of pushing words out of our mouths. We treat it like a workout or a high-pressure test. But the most powerful speakers in the world often look like they are doing nothing at all. They are relaxed and they are present and they are not fighting themselves. Let us talk about the first habit, which is the most difficult to master because it requires you to do less. It is the habit of letting go of the performance. For a long time I viewed every conversation as a stage. I felt like I had to put on a mask of competence. I would rehearse my points in my head while the other person was still talking. This meant I was never actually listening. I was just waiting for my turn to perform. When you do this, your brain is split in two. Half of you is trying to follow the conversation and the other half is trying to edit your next sentence. No wonder we stumble. No wonder we use filler words like and Those words are just the sound of our brains trying to catch up with our mouths. The secret I wish I knew sooner is that people do not want a performance. They want a connection. When you stop trying to sound smart, you actually give yourself the mental space to be clear. It sounds simple, but it feels terrifying when you first try it. It means being okay with a moment of silence while you think. It means admitting when you do not have the right word immediately at hand. This shift in mindset from performing to connecting is the foundation of everything else we will discuss. It is about being authentic rather than being perfect. Now let us look at the second habit, which involves the body. Most people think speaking happens entirely in the throat or the mouth. That is a mistake. Your voice does not start in your neck. It starts in your feet and it moves up through your belly. If you are tense in your shoulders, or if you are leaning forward with a tight chest, your voice will naturally sound thin and brittle. It has no ground to stand on. I want you to try something with me right now as you listen. If you are sitting down, feel the weight of your body in the chair. Drop your shoulders away from your ears. Let your stomach relax. We often hold so much tension in our core because we are trying to look composed or professional. But that tension is the enemy of a clear voice. Think of your breath like the fuel for a fire. Without enough air, the flame just flickers and dies. When you are tense, you take shallow breaths into your upper chest. This sends a signal to your brain that you are in a state of stress. Your heart rate goes up and your fine motor skills, including the muscles in your tongue and throat, begin to degrade. By simply grounding yourself and breathing into your belly, you are telling your nervous system that you are safe. When you feel safe, your words naturally find their weight and their resonance. I spent a long time ignoring my body. I thought my mind was the only thing that mattered. But I realized that my posture dictated the way people perceived my confidence before I even opened my mouth. It is about being present in the space you occupy. If you shrink yourself down and try to be small, your voice will follow suit. But if you allow yourself to take up space, and if you allow your lungs the room to expand, your speech will automatically become more deliberate and more impactful. This brings us to the third habit, which focuses on the mind. Clarity of speech is really just a reflection of clarity of thought. If your brain is a messy room filled with half-baked ideas and unmanaged anxieties, your words will be cluttered too. I used to feel the need to fill every single second with sound because I was afraid of the judgment that might come in the silence. But the most effective speakers are those who are comfortable with their own thoughts. They are not afraid to pause and look the other person in the eye while they collect their next point. I started practicing a habit of pre-visualizing my main points. This is not the same as memorizing a script. In fact, memorizing a script is often the fastest way to sound robotic and disconnected. Instead, it is about knowing the destination before you start the car. If I know the three main things I want to convey, I do not have to worry about the specific words I use to get there. The words will come naturally because the path is clear. When you know where you are going, you stop using those filler words because you are no longer desperately searching for the next turn in the road. You are just walking a path you have already mapped out. It took me a long time to realize that my voice was a tool for connection and not a weapon for validation. I wanted people to think I was clever. I wanted them to be impressed by my vocabulary. But those goals were selfish. They were about me and not about the person I was talking to. True clarity comes when you turn your focus outward. When your primary goal is to make sure the other person understands and feels seen, your speech naturally simplifies. You stop using big words just for the sake of it. You start choosing the words that bridge the gap between your mind and theirs. We are just beginning this journey together. And I want you to take a moment to reflect on how you feel when you speak. Do you feel like you are fighting a battle? Do you feel like you are running a race? I want you to know that it is okay to slow down. It is okay to be human. In the next parts of our guide, we will look at the magic of the pause and how to handle the real-world pressure of everyday conversations. But for now, just remember this. You have something important to say. You have a unique perspective that the world needs to hear. And the best way to share it is to simply be yourself and let the breath carry your words. Take a deep breath with me. Let it out slowly. You are doing just fine. We have much more to cover, and I am so glad we are doing this together. Stay with me as we move forward into the deeper habits of clear and confident communication. I am so glad you are still here with me. We have already covered how our bodies and our minds prepare the ground for clear speech. But now I want to take you deeper into the heart of the mystery I mentioned earlier. Remember when I said that clear speaking has almost nothing to do with your voice and everything to do with how you treat the silence between your words? This is the secret that changed my life. It is the fourth habit on our list. I call it the art of the intentional gap. For a long time I viewed silence as a failure. If I stopped talking for even a second, I felt like I was losing the game. I thought that silence made me look like I did not know English well enough. I thought it made me look slow. But then I started observing people who really command a room. I noticed something fascinating. They are not afraid of the quiet. In fact, they use the quiet to their advantage. When you pause between your ideas, you are not just taking a break. You are giving the listener a chance to digest what you just said. Think about a good meal. You do not just shove all the food into your mouth at once. You take a bite. You chew. You swallow. You experience the flavor. Speech should be the same way. If you rush through your sentences, you are giving your listener a pile of information that they cannot possibly process. When you use the intentional gap, you are acting like a guide. You are saying, here is an idea. Now let it sink in. Now here is the next one. This habit alone will make you sound more confident than 1,000 new vocabulary words ever could. The fifth habit is something that might surprise you. It is the habit of using simple words. Many English learners think that they need to use the most complex and rare words to sound smart. They look for big academic terms to prove their level. I did this too. I would spend hours looking for synonyms that sounded more impressive. But I found that the more complex my language became, the more I tripped over my own tongue. My brain was working so hard to find the fancy word that it forgot how to build a simple sentence. The most powerful communicators in the world use simple language. They use words that everyone can understand. This is not because they are not smart. It is because they want to be understood. Clarity is the ultimate goal. When you choose a simple word over a complex one, you are choosing connection over ego. You are making it easy for the other person to follow you. And when it is easy for them to follow you, they view you as a better speaker. It is a beautiful paradox. The simpler you speak, the smarter you often sound. Let us move to the sixth habit, which is one of my favorites. It is the habit of active listening. You might wonder what listening has to do with speaking. The answer is everything. Speech is a feedback loop. When you are truly listening to the person you are talking to, you are picking up on their rhythm. You are seeing their reactions. You are noticing which words they use. This helps you calibrate your own speech. When I was younger and more nervous, I was so focused on my own internal monologue that I barely heard what the other person was saying. I was just waiting for a gap so I could start my next performance. But when you switch your focus from yourself to the other person, something magical happens. Your anxiety starts to disappear. It is hard to be self-conscious when you are deeply curious about someone else. This curiosity leads to a more natural and relaxed way of speaking. You stop overthinking your grammar because you are too busy engaging with the ideas being shared. Now I want to give you a very practical English tip that ties into these habits. It is about the way we group our words together. We call this phrasing. Instead of seeing a sentence as a long string of individual words, try to see it as a few small groups of meaning. For example, instead of saying I am going to the store to buy some milk all in one breath, try saying I am going to the store pause to buy some milk. This small change makes it so much easier for your brain to manage the delivery. It gives you little islands of safety where you can catch your breath and prepare for the next part. The seventh habit is the habit of physical relaxation. We talked a little bit about this in the first part, but I want to go deeper. I want you to notice your jaw. Many of us carry a lot of stress in our jaw and our tongue. When these muscles are tight, your speech will sound muffled or rushed. It is like trying to play a piano with stiff fingers. Every morning I want you to try a simple exercise. Just open your mouth wide and let out a soft sigh. Feel the space in the back of your throat. Throughout the day, check in with yourself. Are you clenching your teeth? If you are, just let it go. A relaxed mouth creates a relaxed sound. I remember when I first started practicing these habits. I felt like I was moving in slow motion. I was worried that people would think I was strange for pausing so much or for using such simple words. But the opposite happened. People started listening to me more closely. They stopped interrupting me. They seemed more relaxed in my presence because I was relaxed. It was a complete shift in how I moved through the world. I wish I had known sooner that speaking clearly is a gift you give to others. It is an act of kindness to make yourself easy to understand. We are moving through these habits together, and I hope you are starting to see a pattern. None of this is about being perfect. It is about being present. It is about being okay with who you are right now. Your English level is exactly where it needs to be for you to start practicing these habits. You do not need to wait until you are an expert. In fact, these habits are the very things that will help you become an expert. Take another sip of your drink. Feel the warmth. We have 2 more big habits to cover, and they are the ones that will help you take all of this out into the real world. We are going to talk about how to handle mistakes and how to build a voice that people truly want to listen to. But before we go there, I want you to just sit with the idea of the intentional gap. Think about how much power there is in a single second of silence. It is not a void. It is a space for your thoughts to grow. It is a space for your listener to breathe. I am so proud of the work you are doing just by listening to this. It shows that you care about your growth. It shows that you have that true grit that we talk about on this channel. Speaking a second language is a brave thing to do. It takes courage to open your mouth and share your heart in a language that is not your own. Never forget that. You are already doing something amazing. Stay with me as we move into the final part of our journey together. We are going to put all these pieces together and show you how to walk into any conversation with your head held high and your voice clear. There is so much more to share, and I cannot wait to see where this path takes you. We are almost at the end of our journey together, and I want to thank you for staying with me. It shows that you have the patience and the heart to truly grow. We have talked about the body and the mind. We have talked about the power of silence and the beauty of simple words. But now we must face the 2 biggest hurdles that stop most people from ever becoming clear speakers. These are the final 2 habits that tie everything together. They are the habits that turn a student into a master. The 8th habit is something I call the recovery habit. For many years I lived in absolute terror of making a mistake. I thought that if I used the wrong verb tense or if I forgot a word, the entire illusion of my competence would come crashing down. I viewed every conversation as a fragile glass tower. One wrong move and everything would shatter. But this fear is exactly what makes our speech cluttered and nervous. When you are afraid of mistakes, your brain stays in a state of high alert. This causes your muscles to tighten and your breath to become short. The habit I wish I knew sooner is the habit of embracing imperfection. Here is a secret that many people do not realize. Even native speakers make mistakes every single minute. We trip over words. We forget what we were saying. We use the wrong names for things. The difference is how we react to it. A clear and confident speaker does not stop and apologize and get embarrassed when they make a mistake. They just keep moving. They treat the mistake like a small bump in the road. They might correct themselves quickly and move on, or they might just let it go. When you allow yourself to be imperfect, you actually become more relatable. People do not want to talk to a robot that never makes a mistake. They want to talk to a human being. When you show that you are okay with your errors, it makes the other person feel more relaxed too. It lowers the pressure for everyone in the room. I want you to start practicing this today. If you say a word wrong, do not let it ruin your mood. Just smile and keep going. Your message is more important than your grammar. This shift in focus from being perfect to being understood is the ultimate key to clarity. Now we come to the 9th habit, which is the habit of low-stakes practice. Many people wait for a big moment to try and speak well. They wait for a job interview or a presentation or a date, but that is like trying to run a marathon without ever going for a walk. If you only focus on your speaking when the pressure is high, you will almost always fall back into your old nervous patterns. You need to build a new foundation when no one is watching and when the results do not matter. I started practicing my speech in the smallest moments of my life. When I was ordering a coffee, I would focus on my breath and my posture. I would use that intentional gap before I spoke my order. When I was walking my dog, I would narrate my day out loud. I would describe the trees and the weather in my thoughts. This might sound silly, but it is incredibly powerful. It allows you to train your tongue and your lungs in an environment where there is zero judgment. These small moments are the building blocks of your new voice. If you can speak clearly to a coffee shop worker or to your own reflection in the mirror, you are building muscle memory. You are teaching your brain that it is safe to speak slowly. You are teaching your body that it can stay relaxed while words are coming out. Then when you finally find yourself in a high-pressure situation, your body already knows what to do. You do not have to think about it because you have practiced it 1,000 times in the quiet moments of your life. I want to give you one more practical tip about the music of English. English is a language of rhythm and stress. Not every word in a sentence is equally important. If you try to give every word the same amount of power, you will sound like a machine. Clear speakers know how to highlight the important words. Usually these are the nouns and the verbs. The smaller words like and or the or to are often spoken very quickly and softly. Think of your speech like a song. There are high notes and low notes. There are fast parts and slow parts. When you stress the important words and glide over the small ones, you create a melody that is very easy for the human ear to follow. You can practice this by reading a simple sentence and trying to emphasize different words each time. Notice how the meaning changes. This awareness of rhythm will do more for your clarity than a whole book of grammar rules. As we wrap up our time together, I want to remind you of the very first thing we discussed: the strange paradox of speech. The more you try to sound smart, the more you seem to trip over your own words. The secret I have been leading you toward is this: clear speaking is not a performance you give for others. It is a state of being that you cultivate within yourself. It is about being grounded in your body, and clear in your mind and generous with your silence. I wish I had known years ago that my voice was enough just as it is. I did not need more words or a faster pace. I just needed to get out of my own way. I needed to stop fighting myself and start trusting myself. You have that same power within you right now. You do not need to wait for a better vocabulary or a perfect accent. You can start being a clear and confident speaker the very next time you open your mouth. Thank you for being part of this journey with me here at True Grit English Stories. It is an honor to share these lessons with you. Remember that growth is a slow and beautiful process. Be patient with yourself. Be kind to yourself. Take these 9 habits and try just one of them today. Maybe you will focus on your breath. Maybe you will embrace a moment of silence. Whatever you choose, know that you are moving in the right direction. Take one last deep breath with me. Feel the air fill your lungs. Feel the ground beneath your feet. You are ready. Your voice is a gift and the world is waiting to hear what you have to say. I will be here waiting for you in our next story. Until then, keep practicing and keep being your wonderful, authentic self. I am so proud of you and I cannot wait to hear your progress. Goodbye for now and stay clear and stay brave. I am so glad you have stayed with me this far on this journey. It shows me that you are truly committed to finding your voice. We have talked about the habits and the physical tricks and the mental shifts. But there is a deeper layer to this mystery that we haven't fully explored yet. Remember that paradox I mentioned at the very beginning? The more you try to sound smart, the more you trip over your words. We have looked at how to fix the tripping, but now I want to look at the why. Why does our brain do this to us? Why is it that when we are alone in the shower or walking in the park we can speak so clearly, but the moment another person looks at us our English seems to evaporate? This is the secret that most teachers do not tell you. It is because you are trying to manage two different conversations at the same time. One conversation is the one you are having with the person in front of you. The other conversation is the one you are having with yourself about how you sound. This second conversation is a thief. Steals your focus. It steals your breath. And most importantly, it steals your silence. When you are worried about your grammar or your accent, you are not actually present. You are like an actor who is trying to watch their own performance from the audience while they are still on stage. It is impossible to do both well. I want to introduce you to a concept that I call the invisible audience. We all have one. It is that voice in the back of your head that is judging every syllable you speak. It is the ghost of your old school teachers, or the fear of a stranger laughing at you. To speak clearly, you have to learn how to turn your back on that invisible audience. You have to learn how to be okay with being seen. This is why the habits we discuss, like the intentional gap and the recovery habit, are so vital. They are not just speaking techniques. They are ways of telling your brain that you are safe. Let us look at a very practical English tip that will help you find the music of the language. This is something that helped me immensely when I was struggling to find my flow. In English, we have a very special sound called the schwa. It is the most common sound in the entire language, and yet most learners ignore it. It is a very lazy sound. It sounds like a soft "uh." You find it in words like teacher or about or pencil. The reason this sound is so important for clear speaking is that it allows you to save your energy for the words that actually matter. If you try to pronounce every single vowel in every single word perfectly, you will sound very stiff. You will run out of breath quickly. But when you learn to use that lazy schwa sound, you give your voice a rest. You create a contrast between the important stressed syllables and the unimportant ones. This contrast is what creates clarity. It is like a painting. If every color is bright and loud, you cannot see the subject. But if you have soft shadows, the bright colors really pop. Your speech needs shadows too. Those shadows are the small words and the lazy vowels that you glide over. I want you to try a little exercise with me. Think of a simple sentence like "I am going to the park." Now try to say it while only really focusing on the words going and park. The words "I am" and "to the" should be very small and very quick. Listen to the rhythm. It is like a heartbeat. Da-da-da-da-da-da. This is the natural heartbeat of English. When you find this rhythm, your speaking becomes less of a struggle and more of a song. You stop working so hard because you realize that you do not have to give every word the same amount of power. This leads us to a deeper part of our mystery. Have you ever noticed how some people can speak very slowly and yet they never seem boring? You hang on every word they say. This is because they have mastered the art of the mental echo. When they speak a word, they allow it to echo in their own mind before they move to the next one. They are listening to themselves with kindness. Most of us are so busy rushing to the next word that we do not even hear the one we just said. We are always living in the future of the sentence. I want you to try to live in the present of the sentence. When you say a word, let yourself feel the shape of it in your mouth. Let yourself hear the sound of it in the air. This makes you a more grounded speaker. It also makes you a more magnetic speaker. People can feel when you are present. They can feel when you are comfortable in your own skin. This comfort is more persuasive than any complex vocabulary word. It creates a sense of trust between you and the listener. I remember a time when I had to give a presentation in a room full of people who were much more experienced than me. My hands were shaking and my heart was racing. I could feel that invisible audience in my head telling me that I was a fraud. I started to speak too fast. I could hear my voice getting higher and thinner. Then I remembered the habit of the body. I stopped. I took a deep breath. I felt the weight of my feet on the floor. I looked at one person in the front row, and I decided to just have a conversation with them. I forgot about the crowd. I forgot about the performance. I just focused on sharing one simple idea at a time. That was the moment I realized that clear speaking is an act of bravery. It is the bravery to be simple. It is the bravery to be slow. It is the bravery to be yourself. Here at True Grit English Stories, we talk a lot about grit. Usually people think grit means working harder or pushing faster. But sometimes grit is the strength to be still. It is the strength to wait for the right word rather than grabbing the first messy one that comes to mind. It is the strength to let a silence hang in the air without feeling the need to apologize for it. As we move toward the final part of our guide, I want you to start noticing your own invisible audience. When you feel that tension in your throat or that urge to rush, I want you to ask yourself who you are trying to impress. Is it the person in front of you or is it the ghost in your head? Usually the person in front of you just wants to understand you. They are not counting your mistakes. They are looking for a connection. When you give them that connection, you have already succeeded. Take a moment to relax your jaw again. Take a sip of your tea or your coffee. You have done so much good work today. We have explored the mechanics of the voice and the psychology of the mind. We have looked at the rhythm of the language and the power of the lazy vowel. You are building a toolkit that will serve you for the rest of your life. These are the things I wish I had known sooner. I spent so many years trying to be a perfect speaker, but I wish I had just tried to be a clear one. In the next and final part of our series, we are going to talk about how to keep this progress going for the long term. We will talk about how to build a lifestyle of clear speaking. Because this is not just something you do once. It is a way of being. It is a gift you give yourself every single day. I am so proud of the progress you are making. I can feel your confidence growing even from here. Stay with me for one more step. We are almost there, and the view from the top is going to be beautiful. You have something important to say. Never forget that. Let us keep moving forward together. We have reached the final part of our journey together. I want you to take a moment and just feel the space around you. Think about how far we have come. We started with the strange paradox that trying too hard actually makes you a worse speaker. We explored the body and the breath. We looked at the power of silence and the beauty of simple words. We even talked about the ghosts in our heads that try to steal our confidence. Now we are at the finish line and I want to share the final piece of the puzzle with you. This is the habit that makes all the others stick. It is the habit that turns these lessons into a natural part of who you are. The ninth habit is the habit of gentle observation. For a long time I was my own harshest critic. If I had a bad day or a messy conversation, I would replay it in my head over and over. I would punish myself for every mistake. But that only made me more nervous the next time I had to speak. The habit I wish I knew sooner is the ability to look at your own speech with curiosity instead of judgment. When you notice yourself rushing or using too many filler words, do not get angry. Just notice it. Say to yourself, that is interesting. I am feeling a bit rushed right now. I think I will take a breath. When you observe yourself with kindness, you remove the emotional weight of speaking. You stop seeing a conversation as a test you might fail, and you start seeing it as a laboratory where you can experiment. This is the ultimate secret I have been leading you toward. Clarity is not something you do. It is something that happens when you stop doing all the things that get in your way. It is the absence of interference. When you stop overthinking and stop performing and stop judging, the words just flow. They find their own way out because they are no longer being blocked by your fear. I want to give you one final practical English tip that will help you sound more natural and fluid. This is something called word linking. In English, we do not like to have hard stops between our words. We like the sound to flow like a river. If one word ends in a consonant and the next word starts with a vowel, we often push them together. For example, instead of saying an apple, we say an apple. Instead of saying pick it up, we say pick it up. Sounds like one long word. This might seem like it goes against our habit of slowing down, but it actually helps. When you link your words, you are using less energy. You are letting the breath carry the sounds forward without hitting any bumps. Think of it like a bridge. You are building a bridge of sound from one word to the next. You can practice this by taking a short sentence and trying to say it as if it were just one very long word. Feel how the sounds lean on each other. When you combine this with the intentional gaps we talked about earlier, you get a beautiful rhythm. You have moments of smooth flow and moments of deep stillness. This is what clear and confident speaking sounds like. I spent years looking for a magic trick or a secret formula. I thought there was some hidden knowledge that only the best speakers had. But the truth is much simpler and much more beautiful. The secret is that you are already enough. Your voice is already a perfect tool for connection. All of these habits we have discussed are just ways to clear away the dust, so your true voice can shine through. You do not need to become someone else. You just need to become more of yourself. As we look back at our 9 habits, I want you to see them as a path you can walk every day. You have the body and the breath. You have the clarity of mind and the power of silence. You have the simplicity of language and the skill of active listening. You have the recovery habit for your mistakes and the low-stakes practice for your daily life. And finally, you have this habit of gentle observation. Together, these habits form a foundation that no amount of stress or pressure can break. I want you to think about why you want to speak more clearly. Is it for a job or for a move to a new country? Is it to make new friends or to share your ideas with the world? Whatever your reason, hold on to it. Let it be the fuel that keeps you going when things feel difficult. But also remember that the act of speaking is a gift in itself. Every time you open your mouth to share a thought, you are making a connection. You are building a bridge between your heart and someone else's. That is a sacred thing. I am so proud of the time you have invested in yourself today. Most people just want a quick fix, but you have stayed for the deep work. You have the true grit that it takes to really change. I want you to know that I believe in you. I have seen so many people transform their lives just by changing the way they speak, and I know you can do it too. It will not happen all at once, and that is okay. Some days you will feel like a master, and other days you will feel like you are back at the beginning. Just keep breathing. Just keep observing. Just keep showing up. I wish I had known years ago that being articulate is not about being perfect. It is about being authentic. It is about being brave enough to be slow and simple. I wasted so much time trying to be impressive, and I missed out on so many opportunities to be real. Do not make the same mistake I did. Take these tools and use them to be the most authentic version of yourself. The world does not need more polished performers. It needs more people who speak from the heart with clarity and kindness. As we finish this guide, I want to leave you with a small challenge. It is something very gentle. Tomorrow, when you have your first conversation of the day, I want you to try just one thing. Do not try to remember all 9 habits. Just pick one. Maybe you decide to focus on your feet and feel grounded. Maybe you decide to take one intentional gap before you answer a question. Or maybe you just decide to use simple words and see how it feels. Just one small thing. Notice how it changes the energy of the conversation. Notice how it changes how you feel inside. This is how the transformation happens. One small moment at a time. One breath at a time. One word at a time. You are not the same person who started this video. You have new tools and a new perspective. You have the map and you have the compass. Now all you have to do is walk the path. Thank you for letting me be your mentor today. It has been a joy to share these stories and lessons with you. Here at True Grit English Stories, we are more than just a channel. We are a community of people who believe in the power of growth and the beauty of the English language. I'm so glad you are a part of it. Why don't you try writing down just one of the habits we talked about today on a small piece of paper? You can put it somewhere you will see it tomorrow morning. How about you let that be your quiet reminder to stay present and stay clear? I cannot wait to hear about your progress. Take a deep breath. Let it out slowly. You have something important to say, and now you have the tools to say it. I will see you in our next story. Until then, stay brave and stay wonderful. Goodbye for now.